Okay, so we're back. Now we're going to look at brief exercise 9-37. All right. And here, the focus is the direct materials purchases budget. So there's a little more work that goes into purchase of direct materials. And this, in the real world, this could be huge, right? Because you technically have to budget for every single direct material input. So in this particular problem, the direct material inputs have been limited to 2 inputs, right? So you can imagine for complex products like automobiles or iPads or whatever, things that have many parts from many different suppliers, this would be you'd have to budget for every single part. So this could be a big chunk of your master budget, right? And typically you'd roll those up and sum them and present a summary direct materials budget. And that's the way it works in practice. So we're going to need a little exposure to this here. So let's take a look at the problem. Tulum Incorporated makes a Mexican chocolate sold in 4-pound boxes. Planned production in units for the first 3 months of the coming year is, and it gives you the planned production, right? Which just so lines up with the bottom line of our production budget. All right. Each box requires 4.2 pounds of chocolate mix and 1 box. Company policy requires that ending inventory of raw materials for each month be 10% of the next month's production need. And that's for the same reason that we had safety stock of 20% of the units. You just don't want to have constraints. You don't want to run out of a chocolate mix or boxes to put the mix in. So that 10% policy is for that purpose. All right, the problem continues. That policy was met for ending inventory of December in the prior year. The cost of 1 pound of chocolate mix is $1.50. Cost of 1 box is 10 cents. All right. Round all unit amounts to the nearest unit. Round all dollar amounts to the nearest dollar. So first requirement is calculate ending inventory of chocolate mix in pounds for December of the prior year in January and February. What is the beginning inventory of chocolate mix for January? Okay. So we can figure this out quite easily. Ending inventory for December. And we'll start with chocolate mix. All right, that's what requirement 1 asks for. Okay. So the problem tells us that the ending inventory for December would be 10% of the following month's production. So we'll start with the following month's production, which is January of $24,700. All right, and we'll multiply that times 4.2, which is the number of pounds of chocolate in each box. So that is right here, 4.2. All right. And then we will take 10% of that amount, right? And that should give us the ending inventory for December. All right, 10,374, and that's pounds chocolate mix, pounds of chocolate mix. All right, and then it wants the same thing for January and February, so we'll do that in similar vein. All right. And we'll sub in the amount for February, since we're computing the ending inventory for January, and then compute that. All right. So ending inventory January, 9,240 pounds of chocolate mix, and then we'll do it again for February. All right. Okay, 12,684 pounds is the ending inventory for February. Okay. Now, the problem asks for one more thing. What was the beginning inventory of chocolate mix for January? Well, we computed the ending inventory for December. All right. So the beginning inventory of chocolate mix for January is just the ending inventory for December. So the 10,374. All right. Okay. Let's press on with requirement 2. All right. Prepare a direct materials purchases budget for the months of January and February. All right, we can do this. Okay. Okay, so we'll start with production in units, which is the bottom line from the production budget. And it only asks for January and February, so that's what we'll do. Chocolate mix per unit, so pounds per unit, 4.2. All right, and that's from the problem. And then this is we're going to multiply, right? Units to be produced, pounds in each unit. All right, we'll do that for both. And like that gives us the pounds required, the pounds of chocolate mix required in both January and February. But we also want to add to that desired ending inventory. All right, which we computed above. All right, so for January, it is the 9,240. For February, It's the 12,684. All right, and we'll just add these two together. Chocolate mix needed. All right, I'm going to back out beginning inventory because if you already had it in stock, you don't need to purchase it again. Beginning inventory of chocolate mix, which would be the 10,374 for January. And for February, well, the ending inventory in January is the beginning inventory in February. All right. So we'll back this out. And that gives us the amount of chocolate mix that needs to be purchased by this company. All right. Now we can use the first dollar figure, really the only dollar figure given purchase price. Per pound. All right. Dollar purchases, and so when we compute this tells us how much cash on hand we need to have in each month to be prepared to pay for the chocolate mix that the company is going to need to purchase. All right. Okay, so just like that, 153,909 to pay for chocolate mix in the month of January, 143,766 would be needed in February. Okay, so that's your direct materials purchase budget. The problem goes on and asks us to repeat the process for boxes. And let's do that. Let's do that to get just an additional look at it. And so it asks for the same thing. Ending inventory of boxes for December of the prior year in January and February. Okay. So let's do that for boxes. And this computation is going to be a bit easier because, well, the unit is a box. So we don't have to deal with the, we had the 4.2 pounds per box. We don't have to do that this time. So the ending inventory is going to look like this. The same 24,700, all right, that we had as production for January. Times 10%. And that's all we'll really need to do is take 10% of that number. All right. So we need 2,470 boxes. For January. %10 of that number, 10% of production, 2,200 units, and then we can do the same for February. All right. Boxes. All right. And then requirement 4, ask for a similar production budget just for boxes. So we will do that. Boxes for production, which is the same number as units. So we'll just start with that step. And then we can add desired ending inventory. Which we just computed. So for January, 2,200, and for February, 3,020. So those are the boxes needed. Of course, now we're going to back out beginning inventory. All right, and as you might have guessed, beginning inventory for January is December's ending inventory, and February's ending inventory. Beginning inventory is January's ending. All right. And so we'll back that out. These are the boxes that need to be purchased. All right. Each box costs 10 cents. And so we'll translate that into dollars just by multiplying the number of units that need to be purchased times the price per box. All right, so just like that, we have the dollar impact as it relates to the purchase of boxes for January and February. All right, so that is how our direct materials purchases budget works. All right, so I'll stop here. Up next is our direct labor budget, which should go a lot quicker. Okay,